Hi everyone, welcome back to my lab and today's video in which we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Burberry Essentials Glow Palettes. I have both of them. I have the number 1 fair to light medium and number 2 medium to dark. As you can see, I'm kind of a light medium to medium skin tone and I wasn't exactly sure where I would fall on the spectrum, so I got both. Before we get into today's video, if you're new here, I'm Jody. Thank you for joining me for today's video. I hope you're going to enjoy this one and find it helpful, and consider subscribing to my channel so that you can join me for a future video. As always, thank you to my first 5 commenters from my previous video. I really appreciate you showing my channel lab love, and I enjoy chatting makeup with you in the comment section. Those with YouTube channels would have the YouTube logo and will be linked in the description box down below in case you're looking for some fun new channels to watch. Now, without any further delay, let's go ahead and get into today's video. Let's start with where I purchased my palettes. I made my very first purchase from feelunique.com, which is a UK-based store. I was searching all over for the Burberry palettes and they were listed on the Burberry website as out of stock, but supposedly they carry them in-store in boutiques. I've told you all before, I'm not doing any in-store shopping. That is non-essential, and so I wanted to locate the palettes somewhere else, and a little bit of internet sleuthing led me to Feel Unique. The palettes were listed at £62 each, but on the Burberry website they were $90 each. I did also have a first-time client coupon for 25% off, so I was able to get 25% off of the palettes. Then I paid £15 shipping. Bottom line, it ended up being £109, which was about $141 with 60 cents, making each palette $71-ish. So I think that was a definite win. Shipping was great from Feel Unique. I got a huge box for these 2 tiny palettes and it had the air bubble packaging, so the palettes arrived very, very securely. Now, I did mention these palettes on my Instagram, and a couple of my friends purchased from Feel Unique as well using my referral link, and 2 friends had their orders canceled because the items went out of stock, and then another one unfortunately had the wrong palette sent to her. They sent her the deep shade when she wanted the light shade. So with regard to customer service, my experience was fine. It was great, but unfortunately I've already heard of these kind of things happening, which is of course not ideal. So that's just something to keep in mind. I will link them down below, including my referral link if you want to check them out. It does give you 25% off. And again, I was pleased, but there were other people that had negative experiences. However, they were issued refunds when the order cancellations were made. As I mentioned in the intro, I wasn't sure which shade to get, so I did end up getting both. I thought that both of them would work out really well for me. Now, today I'm going to be demoing the fair to light medium shade on my skin tone because my YouTube friends Susanna T as well as Mo from Mo Makeup Mo Beauty, they have already beautifully demonstrated the medium to dark palettes, and so I'm going to leave their videos linked in the description box down below in case you want to see this one on action, but I am going to be swatching both of them for you. Let's look at the fair to light medium palette first. How beautiful is this packaging? It is gold metallic and it has the Burberry print on it. You can see it also has my fingerprints on it because it just can't be helped. When you open it up, it has a beautiful, beautiful mirror, and here are the 6 products that are inside. You have the Sculpt Fair Brown shade, the Sculpt Light Brown shade, the Light Pink Blush, the Pink Blush, the White Highlight, and the Pink Pearl Highlight. If you are fair complected, you're going to love the highlighters in this palette. For me, they are a little bit too stark white, but I can make use of the other 2 products in the palette. If you're fair complected, you're gonna find this cream bronzer a little intense. You're gonna see when I apply it, it's quite dark even on my skin tone, but it does blend out really, really nicely. If you're deeper complected, you're probably going to feel as I do about the highlights. They're just a little too icy, but what I found is mixing it with this bronzer shade can actually make them a little bit more wearable. Because the Sculpt product is deeper, depending on how deep your skin tone is, you may be able to use that one. I use this one just to set the cream product. The blushes I think would suit pretty much any skin tone. They're quite pigmented, which was really surprising to me. Let's look at the medium to deep palette. This one is a little less versatile. In the light palette, you have both warmer and cool tones. This one is definitely in the warm end of the spectrum. I didn't find that significant of a difference in the cream Sculpt color. This one is called Dark Brown Sculpt, and this one is medium brown in terms of the powder. The 2 blushes are listed as Coral and Fuchsia, but to me personally, they look both more warm tone, more corally. The highlighters here are going to be great for medium skin tones as well as deep skin tones, but if you are fair skin toned, probably you would get use out of the bronzer and the blush shades. If you're a deeper skin tone, you'll probably be able to use the entire palette really, really well. So like I said, my friends already demonstrated this palette, so check out their videos. They both did beautiful reviews on the palette, and I'm going to focus on this one. So let's go ahead into the demo. As I'm sure I already told you in the intro, I'm going to be demoing the light to, let's see, it's called Fair to Light Medium. So this is the 01 palette. This is the outer packaging. It's very difficult to show it to you because it's so reflective, but basically it's gold metallic finish and it has the Burberry print on it. Here are the inside shades. I'm sure I already showed you swatches. So I'm going to go ahead and apply it. The first thing I want to mention is the pan size. These are pretty small pans, so you're going to want to work with small brushes, and then also you do have creams mixed with powders. So that sculpt shade, it's called the Fair Brown Sculpt. It's a cream, and so it's going to be difficult to avoid kind of intermingling. The good thing is the others are big gelée, and so they're not going to be spilling a lot of powder around, but still it would have been nice to have that one covered. I'm going to apply this with a Pro Foundation number 47 brush. This is from the Sephora collection. I'm actually going to grab, actually no, I'm going to go ahead and dip in there. I was going to try to use the tip to paint it on, but I think it's fine to go ahead in this direction. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply it, and just looking at it, it's definitely showing up on my skin tone. So if you are very fair, you probably want to go in with a light hand because this is definitely showing up, and I barely dipped my brush in there. So I'm going to go ahead and blend it. With one dip of the brush, I'm kind of doing both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and spread a little bit to my forehead just so that I can distribute the product a little bit better. I also wanted to try out this palette to see if it was going to show up on my skin tone, because usually with luxury brands, they have a tendency to create products on the more fair end of the spectrum. And so I wondered if this would be deep enough for me. This is why I ended up with both palettes, because I wasn't exactly sure. And I always have this issue where if a brand creates two palettes, I'm always on the boundary and never sure which direction I should actually go in. So it blends out really nicely. I'm applying it over unset foundation. However, I've had the foundation on for a while. I kind of did my base makeup earlier today, and then I did my hair, and then I had some coffee, and then I decided to do the face palette. So just kind of taking my sweet time with everything today. Blending out very beautifully. I do like the way it looks. Now the powder bronzer is basically my skin tone color, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use that one to set the bronzer that I've already put down. Now I keep calling it a bronzer, but it's actually listed as a sculpting powder, so just I'm kind of using it as both. There's almost nothing left on the brush, so I'm just applying this down my nose. To set that, I'm going to use another small brush. This is a Sephora collection highlight brush, but we're going to use it for a bronzer. Now it's going to be difficult to show you, but as I press my brush in there, there's a little tiny bit of powder, so I'm kind of going to brush this powder away from the cream product. Again, it would have been nice if they had included some kind of flap to protect it from the powder products. As I mentioned, I'm not expecting this shade to add absolutely anything to my complexion. I'm just using it to set the product that I already have down. But if you have a very fair skin tone, then probably that would bronze you quite nicely. I may actually use that powder as well to mix with the highlights, because I do suspect that the highlighters are going to be too light for my skin tone. They look a little bit frosty when swatched. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply this combination on my right cheek and this combination on my left cheek, and then we will even it out after we see what both sides look like. So I'm going to start out with the blush called Light Pink. It does almost have a frosty character to it, and this one is definitely a luminous blush as well. I'm using a pretty firm brush. This is a Wayne Goss 02 brush. Now, personally, I have a feeling that the determining factors are going to be the highlights and bronzers if you're trying to decide between the palettes. Now, that highlighter I know is going to be very icy on me. So I'm just going to apply a tiny bit, but you can see it's very blinding as well. Super blinding. I'm going to leave it like that for now. If you have a fair skin tone, you're probably going to love this one. If you have a deeper skin tone, you will probably hate this one. For me, it's not the most flattering. I'm going to eventually mix it with the other one, as I mentioned. So there you have the first combination. All right, let's go ahead and try that combo now, which I think will be more flattering on my skin tone. So that one is called Pink and Pink Pearl Highlight. So for that, I'm using a Mustav Kawani number 05 brush. This one is softer than the one I was using before because this one is Blue Squirrel. And we're going to apply on this side. So despite this being a softer brush, it also created a little bit of powder in the pan. Okay, so this one is a lot more bright pink. And it's funny, in the pan itself, it looks lighter, but you can see it has a little bit more corally tone. I brushed off the highlighter brush and we're going to apply the Pink Pearl Highlight. So again, it's just as intense as the highlight on the other side. It just has a little bit more pink in it. So you have light pink and white on this side, and pink pearl on this side. Now let me even myself out a little bit. The nice thing about this palette is that this side is a little bit more cool tone and this side is a little bit more coral. So I think in general, this palette has a little bit more versatility for those of you that will fall into the shade range, because you can have both warm and cool tones. The deeper palette definitely leans more on the warm side. So now I'm just applying the other blush on this side and the corally blush on this side. It's surprising how intense the blushes are. I really believe that the blush colors are going to show up on all skin tones, no matter what they are. They're pretty intense. These highlights, wow. I'm impressed with the intensity of the highlights. If you like a blinding highlight, this is it. And then also, just so you know, there's no glitter in this. I really only applied just a small amount too. That's insane. I've done an all matte look today, but I'm gonna add a little bit of the highlight to the brow arch just to tie everything together. So here you have it. I've evened out both sides, and that is what it looks like with the entire palette applied. I'm going to finish the rest of my makeup, apply some lipstick, and I'll come back and share my final thoughts. I hope you enjoyed seeing the palette in action. Again, my main complaint, as I mentioned while I was demonstrating the palette, is just having the cream product in with the other powders. It's a little frustrating. They could have put a cap or something there to protect the cream product, as a lot of brands are doing. Natasha Denona has done it. Patrick Ta has done it. That would definitely be an improvement. Now, the powders, they do kind of kick up a little bit in the pan, not a lot that it's going to immediately contaminate the cream product, but there is going to be some intermingling going on here, even when I use my very, very softest brushes. So that's something to keep in mind. Having used the fair to light medium palette, I would say that I probably would fall better with the deeper palette, the number 2 medium to dark, but I can get use out of this one. It's the only one I'm using on my skin today, and I think that I made it work well. I was able to mix the two highlighters to get a more wearable tone on my skin. The highlighters are super intense. They're very much like these single highlighters that Burberry had before with that beautiful pattern. Very, very beautiful powders. The blushes, they blend beautifully. Overall, I'm impressed with the palette. I think it's a really, really nice one. If you're my skin tone, though, you can get use out of the fair to light medium one. I think that you would probably enjoy the medium to deep palette a little bit more. In general, I'm glad that I got them. I'm happy to have them in my collection, and I don't know how I got so lucky that I was able to purchase them. In my opinion, they're going to come back. They're relatively new products, and once Burberry sees the demand, they're going to produce more. I do miss that Burberry is not carried in Sephora anymore, because I like a lot of their products actually, and unfortunately, they're just a little bit more challenging to get your hands on. In general, I think the palette performed really, really well. I can't wait to put the other one on my face as well. If you're interested in the rest of my face makeup, I'm going to try to link that in the description box down below. My eye makeup comes from the Born This Way, the Natural Nudes palette, which I asked on my Instagram if I should buy this one or the Too Faced, the new holiday palette, Pumpkin Spice or something. I got both, but I tried this one today and I like the look that I came up with. It's an all matte look, and then the lip color is from the Hourglass Holiday Collection, which I've already reviewed on my channel. Other than that, that's everything from me today. If you did enjoy this video and found it helpful, please don't forget that thumbs up for me. If you have any questions I didn't touch upon, leave those in the comment section for me and I'll do my best to answer them as best as I can. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes of your day with me. I really, really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you subscribed and joined my makeup family. But I do thank you for watching this one, and I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon on my next one. Bye-bye.